Improved content-aware fill in Adobe Photoshop. Hey guys, Kerry Hawkins here with another Vectimade.com tutorial. Today I want to start talking about some of the new features to Adobe Photoshop 2019. So let's jump right in. First, we're going to talk about the coolest new feature, the one that's probably the most powerful, and it's an old feature that they've just revamped, they've improved upon it, and it's the content-aware fill. I typically don't really use this tool very much because I find clone stamping and heel brushing works better and faster, but you know, maybe you have a different preference and that's cool. And I think there are certain settings where content-aware fill in the past has been better, but for my money I still prefer that other method. But I want to show you the upgrades and then kind of show you some things it does work well on. It's not perfect for every picture that you do. Still could use some improvements, but they've come a long way. So let's start with this picture. Say you've got this and you want to take out one of these chairs. You only want one. Well, the thing you want to do is select everything that lets you know the chair is here. So obviously the chair itself, but then also the shadows underneath. So just kind of make a loose selection with your lasso tool. It's one of the few things the lasso tool is actually good for, is grabbing stuff like this. And then you kind of come down and grab that shadow there and do it like that. Next, come up to Edit and say Content Aware Fill. Now, the new part here is the preview and all of these options that you have here on the right. Plus, you get this nice, I've chosen red. I think if I recall, it's green by default. So maybe I'll switch over to that so you know we're doing the same thing. But basically, you get this nice little minus or plus symbol. If you hold Alt, you'll get the plus. Minus just says you don't want to use this section for part of your content-aware fill. So like, I don't really want to use this chair. So just come in here and do like so. You know, there's nothing about this chair that I want to use, and you can change the size of your brush as well as you're doing this so that you can get finer selections. But I don't want it. I don't want these little seashells, and really I don't want any of this over here. Now I don't know if it's going to matter. As you can see in the preview, it's already done a pretty decent job of taking it out, but let's just go ahead and kill the sky because we don't need it. We only need a little bit of the ocean and some of the beach here. So it's looking pretty good in the preview. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so I can see there's a little bit of bumps here and there. So what I would do is mess with these settings in here. Color adaptation is going to be like how strongly the colors sort of meld together. The more gradient the image is, or more gradation there is in the color, the higher the setting you want to have. Although when I'm messing with it, just try it out anyway, because it might just work better anyway. You know, just let's see what very high does. See, very high kind of smooths this out a little bit, but then is a little funky here. If we go to the opposite end and say none, it looks really pinched right here to me. So I might do, let's see what high looks like. High looks okay, and default was, I'm gonna go with high. I think I like high best. Hard to say. Now, rotation adaptation is going to be if, say you're working with something circular or something that has a curve to it, you might want to bump this up. We probably won't need any of that here, but with this little edge here, you may want to have a little bit of rotation. Let's just see what low looks like. Let's see if it smooths some of this out. It does, but it also doesn't look very good. I'm going to bump it up each notch just to see what changes this makes. I'm thinking it's going to be none. But as you see, as we go up from medium to high, you get even a little bit more curviness here, which doesn't look right because the picture itself is very horizontal. And that's full. So full looks terrible. We're going to go all the way back down to none and just kind of live with it like this. We can always go in and tweak these later. The other thing that you might mess with is scale. Scale is really more for things that are going to be proportional. If it's like a brick wall or something that's kind of at an angle, then scale might help. And mirror is going to be for more like if the image is symmetrical. And on this one, mirror might be a good idea. Let's see what it does. No, I don't like that. We're going to uncheck it. And then output. On output settings, you want to probably do new layer. If you do current layer, it's going to replace what you have. And if you do a new layer, it does this. So now you have the new layer up top, right? And let me just get rid of my selection here. So you still have the original. If I hide this, you'll see the original with the chair. And here it is with content aware fill. Now the cool thing is I could come in here and kind of fix a little bit of this, a little bit of this in here, just on this layer if I wanted to. And I think that would look, pretty decent considering, look like this. And then all we did was do a real quick content aware fill and boom, there it is. So not the greatest quality in the world. If you look in closely, you'll see some areas that need touching up. This could maybe be fixed by grabbing a little bit more, but probably I would just go through here and use a heal brush and clone stamp to kind of even this out a little bit. You can even make another layer or two to try and blend this in a little bit better. But it did a decent job of grabbing in a lot of the elements from the picture to make it look somewhat smooth. I think it's pretty awesome as quickly as we did that. Another example of how to use this is like, let's say you want to get rid of this bee. You like the flower, but you don't like the bee. So let's do the same thing. And this is a little bit lower resolution, so pardon the pixelation here. But I'm going to grab the bee. Do the same thing. And you can do a little bit more refined selection on this. It might change your results. But for what we're doing, we'll be fine with this. And man, that looks just really good right there. I might try doing some rotation. Let's see what full rotation kind of softens that out a little bit. And low, medium, high. Yeah, kind of like full. And then let's see if very high. Maybe just high. I kind of like that. Go back to default. High looks a little less bumpy to me. So I'm curious if we hit scale or mirror what that does. Because again, sometimes just clicking these you get a better result even though it's not meant for that. I kind of like mirror. Mirror looks good. I'm going to say okay. There it is. I can turn them on and off. See? That's pretty sweet. That would take you quite a bit of time. And you can still see that there's elements here that need to be refined. Right? That's not perfect. It pulled too much here. So again, I would probably clone stamp a little bit of this to cover that back up. Maybe smooth that out just a little bit. And then smooth out this little bump right here. But it's done 90% of the work for you. And, if this is far away, you're not going to be able to see that anyway. So really, you don't need to touch this up unless it's major. But you could see that bee from a distance. So, just depends on how far away your art's going to be seen, how much detail is going to be seen. This could be just a perfect setup as is, but if you do need that extra detail, then you can go in and do that as well. Here's another one that's kind of that brick wall at an angle that I'm telling you about. Let's just grab the lasso tool once again. And we're going to just go outline that and be sure to get the shadow because we don't want to have that in there either. And sometimes you can do these elements at a time, so maybe you could do this and then do the shadow later, but since they're connected, probably wouldn't work very well this time around. And as you can see, that's the preview. It already looks pretty good, but let's go ahead and just see what scale does. I don't think it did much of anything. Let's just see if we do none. No, I think default looked better. I'm going to go up to very high. Ooh, very high gets a little more detail. And we'll just try a little rotation just to see. I'm sure it's not what we want. Let's say no. And we're going to click mirror just to do it. Nope. Looks like that's the best setting for this one. Click off. And as you can see, that did a pretty good job of removing it. And again, it's not perfect. You have a little bit of this funky looking grout. It's a little bit fuzzy right here. But, you know, for a quick job, for looking at it from a distance, you can't tell. And here's another one where we're going to just remove this guy completely. I thought this one, when I was testing, worked out pretty well. Some of the images I tested did not do so well. So you will find that content-aware fill is finicky. Even though it's improved, it's still finicky. Now, what did I do? I think I just did a low or medium rotation, something like that, and a very high. Maybe I did no rotation. Let's see, none. I probably did a little bit. I don't like medium. I'm probably not going to like high or full. Maybe, yeah. Let's go with that. And then maybe try scale just to see what it does. Scale looks a little better. What about mirror? Nope, I don't like mirror. So again, that'd be the quickie right there. You take him out, and that's what it looks like. Again, not perfect, but, you know, gives you a decent starting spot, right? Could kind of take some of this blur out here. You know, this is a little fuzzy compared to what's next to it, so maybe you go back and make this blurry. You know, or you can even sharpen some of this layer, and that might fix it as well. But again, for just a really quick edit, it's pretty helpful. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so that you make sure that you get these when they come out, when they're fresh. And I will see you guys in the next video.